everybody. We are back again today to do the last piece of Big Al. So let's take out our packets from yesterday. We're going to review Big Al. If you want, you can go back and rewatch me reading the story. You can also rewatch the video on eels because we're going to do a little comparing and contrasting. So today, Big Al is brave. Provide evidence from the text to support this statement. Why do you think Big Al is brave? I'm going to start out with, I think Big Al is brave because. And you can copy that down. Again, I'm restating the question. I think Big Al is brave because. Why do you think he was brave in this story? And we all might have some different reasons for that. I have two reasons. If you need to pause the video, go ahead. You can discuss this in class or with someone at home. But what I wrote was, I think Big Al is brave because he tried very hard to make friends and he rescued the fish from the net. Sometimes I think it's hard to make new friendships. I think it makes you a brave person when you want to reach out and try to be friends with a different group. Big Al wanted to be friends with the other fish. And it was hard. He tried many things. He tried to cover himself up in seaweed. He tried to change his color. He tried to tell jokes. That's a pretty brave person that has to try to change who he was and try to change what he looked like or what other people perceived him to be just so that he could be friends with them. I think that made him brave. I also think he took a leap when he was trying to rescue those fish from the fisherman's net. Why was Big Al released? Again, we want to restate the question. Why was Big Al released? He was released because. Why was he released? You can pause the video while you copy this part down, or you can continue to work if you're caught up. Why was Big Al? He was released because. And what I wrote down here was, he was released because the fishermen thought he was ugly. And then I put a period. That was my first sentence. They threw him back in the water, period. That was my second sentence. Did you come up with something similar or different? In the end, Big Al feels blank. I know this because, and then you're going to draw a picture of what you think the fisherman looks like when they saw Big Al before they threw him back. In the end, it says, and now there is one huge, puffy, scary, fierce-looking fish in the sea who has more friends than anybody else. Big Al. How do you think that made him feel? I put, in the end, Big Al feels happy. I know this because he had more friends than anyone else. Or you could put anyone else in the ocean. So he finally got that group of friends. And you can take a minute here to draw your fisherman picture. I'm going to skip over this page here. I'm going to go to this page. I'm going to have you pause the video while you complete this. Make a connection. Everybody has felt left out or lonely. Describe a time you felt that way. You could draw a picture of it and you can write about it here. I'm sure there's a time everybody has felt left out of something. Maybe people were invited to a party and you knew that you weren't invited. Maybe children were playing a game on the playground and you felt excluded. Maybe there was a time in class where people were playing a board game or playing with Legos or something and you felt that you weren't a part of that group. Maybe there's a time in your family where something was going on and you just felt like you weren't a part of what was going on. So I'd like you to stop and pause to think about a time that maybe you felt left out. Or was there ever a time you felt lonely? Maybe you were home on a weekend and you've called a bunch of different friends. You want to get together, but everybody's busy and you just felt really lonely. So go ahead and pause. You can draw a picture and just write a little bit about that time for me. And our last page, our compare and contrast. This circle of our diagram is about electric eels. This circle is about Big Al. In this portion, we're going to write things that just pertain to electric eels. In this portion would be things that are just about Big Al. Where these two circles overlap, those are things that apply to both. So let's think about that video that we watched on electric eels. Let's think about reading Big Al. What are some things that we could fill in here about electric eels, Big Al, or both? Well, they both live in water. So I'm going to put that in the middle because right off the top, I know that's something that applies to both of them. When I think back to that video about electric eels, they're long, they can breathe air, which I didn't know. I learned a lot about that. They give a shock, an electric shock. That's something Big Al couldn't do. Okay. Some things about Big Al. He was much bigger and puffier. He was friendly. Of course, he's a fictional character. Some more things that they might have in common is that they're both fish. They're both considered ugly. So these are just a few things that I filled in on my diagram. I'm sure you have a lot of other words that would describe the characteristics of the electric eel or Big Al that you can fill in and share with your classmates, your teacher, or someone at home. And I hope you enjoyed reading Big Al. I hope that it taught us all a lesson about being kind to people, even if they don't look the same that we do. Somebody might look scary, but have the biggest heart inside. I hope you learned some interesting facts about those electric eels as well. Have a great day, everybody.